right. It's motherfucking Star Wars, bros. And apparently, they decided in their infinite wisdom at Disney to broach a subject so toxic and so all consuming that even the people who said that they wanted a mature Star Wars are losing their fucking minds over. Excuse me. Oh, apparently I can't have it on two different. Okay, never mind. So it's one of those things where. So basically, what happens is an Imperial officer sexually assaults. I think she's a rebel agent or just some random bitch. It doesn't matter. The point is that the pearl clutching nature of the individuals that pervade our society are multitude, and they exist on no side. Not both. All sides have them. We all know who they are. They are people that as soon as you touch a sacred cow, they scream. No matter how much they say they're for art, no matter how much they say they're for free speech, no matter how much they say they're for this or for that, what do they do as soon as their sacred cow is touched? It's too far. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I would also like to point out this is an excellent meme from Pirate Nation. I would like to show you Minratha. Minratha is a beautiful dark elf in Baldur's Gate 3. Very, very waifu. Very, very waifu. She is pro-genocide, pro-slavery, pro-tyranny, pro-child murder. And people still argue that she can be redeemed. Yes. So the funny thing is it's possible that these are not the same people, but it's not the point. The point is that Star Wars has moved on from a lot of that stuff, and this is another example of it. So Pirate Nation posted another one. By choosing to not replace Oblivion remastered soundtrack, Bethesda has made the allegations. So there are allegations against the composer for the soundtrack. So just listen to how this is written. By choosing not to replace Oblivion remastered soundtrack. So this automatically assumes that it's a good idea to do such a thing. Bethesda has made the allegations against Jeremy Soule. Allegations, by the way, everyone else's problem. Nobody gives a fuck about the allegations against Jeremy Soule, bro. Not a single fucking person outside your little group. You want to know why? I don't even know the fuck who Jesse Soule is. Do you know half the songs that I know in my life that have like touched me and my soul and moved me? I don't even know who the fuck wrote them. I don't know who performed them. Because I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. It's just like my favorite thing in the world is Star Trek, right? The only reason I know any of their fucking names is because I watched every episode, and on the title screen, it says their fucking names right next to their character. Like, who is playing Captain Picard? Who is playing Commander Riker? This is why I know their names. This is why I know their names. Oh, no. Oh, sorry, my YouTube. Okay, well, I guess we're just gonna... That's fine. I didn't even know the actors' names who were playing them because I don't give a fuck at all. Period. It never bothered me. None of the stuff, none of the minutia around the humans in modern day doing things on my favorite show about the 24th century. I cared not. Not like all the fans who care about like the props and all that shit. I never understood that at all because for me, everything was about the story and the universe. The only time I was ever interested in anything like that is I had the opportunity to buy an actual phaser from like the original Star Trek that was used as a prop in one of the episodes. And it's like, maybe if I had a bunch of money to blow, maybe I might grab something like that. But I'd rather have like, I would actually rather have like a gigantic model of a starship or of an actual weapon made by someone who knows how the goddamn thing functions, not just a piece of fucking wood carved into a fucking shape and with little doohickeys like glued the fuck on. Like, come the fuck on now. Just because it was on the TV show doesn't matter. So the point of my whole thing with that rant, because of course I go off on a million fucking tangents. The waffles, boys, you gotta love them waffles. Where the fuck is that button? There you go. Is that I don't give a fuck. Now I am. This is one of those weird parts about me specifically about how I don't give a fuck about these things because a lot of people do for some reason. Like their favorite songs, like they know the artist, they know who played the guitar. Like I barely know the names of these people because I could give a fuck less. Their art is what moves me, not their names. I don't give a fuck about that. And so this is my perspective on this. And the vast majority of people are also one of these things that it's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You really think anybody gives a fuck about any of this shit? Like for real, dude? And their allegations, not like the man went to jail. And even if he did go to jail, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. Unless the person who composed the soundtrack is literally Hitler, Stalin, maybe Genghis Khan, right? Right? Maybe then I might care. And I might be like, well, it's like the guy who buys like that joke about the guy who buys art that was made by Hitler so that he can burn them. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. But it is one of those things is like what you're doing when you do that. And this is the only reason I would push back against such a thing is, or actually there are two. One, art is art. It doesn't matter who the composer is. Two, you are denying the window into the soul of an individual who we know to be a true monster. And by denying people that because of your childish need to lash out against someone that you perceive as evil, who has never done anything to you specifically, unless you're a family member of the survivor of all this shit. But you get what I'm saying, right? It's like you're so disconnected at this point that it's like, why are you being this way? Why are you not putting it in the proper context? Why are you not using your rational mind? And it's a joke, so it's not that big of a deal. But it is one of those things that shows like the minds of some people, right? They will deny the entirety of humanity a window into the soul of this horrible monster simply because they want to be petty. And it's something that Christopher Hitchens said about speech specifically. It's like when you shut someone up, you do not deny them the right to speak necessarily. You do, but you also do something else. You deny the right for everyone else around to hear them and judge of their own accord. You're denying them that right as well, not just the speaker. Anyway, so this is one of those things where people are pearl clutching because it's too far. I've seen arguments that are, oh, the Empire wouldn't allow such things, and it's like, bro, you are so beyond stupid to say something like that. Like, I thought for a second about whether this would be true or not, because it would be a good form of military discipline to not allow such things to happen within the military, right? For male officers to do this to females in any whether they're officers or not, or enlisted, it doesn't matter. The point is that for good military structure, this is the kind of shit you don't want to happen in a military. But when it's military officers doing it to civilians they're oppressing, like they murder them at random. They kill their children in front of them. They torture them and enslave them. Of course, sexual assault is going to be a part of the story. They just haven't covered it yet. And just like Little Platoon puts up here, it was meant for kids. Yeah, the finale of Star Wars, of the story, the thing we were all missing, the great hero, Anakin Skywalker, murders a bunch of kids and then chokes out his present wife because she was upset about it. People seem to forget what the Empire did to Luke's farm family. Exactly. And what do you want to bet? that even though she was an older female, that somebody who was not a very good person did very bad things to her before they burned her to death. All you saw was skeletons, right? What does it take to immediately turn a human body into a charred skeleton and not destroy the bone? What kind of thing does that? Probably something very painful. And I laugh simply because of the ridiculousness of the kind of argument that they're making. Because stuff like that happens in our military. Stuff like that happens in every civilization, no matter who they are, no matter how good they claim they are. Like, think about all the peoples that call America the great horrible empire, right? The great evil empire. They think we're the empire from Star Wars when they do exactly the same things, right? Especially in that case. You know, unless you have an entire culture where women cover up, and then if they don't cover up, well, then they could be, you know, you can do whatever you want to them because they're whores, right? And so I find it absolutely ridiculous that anybody would make this fucking argument, because even in the original show, excuse me, the original movie, it is implied that tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of people, both men and women, were murdered by this dude's son. Now, technically, it was a battle, right? Or let me rephrase this. So let's start at the beginning of the atrocities, shall we? We're gonna, so you know, Luke's farm family is vaporizes all of their skin and muscle and leaves charred bone. God knows what else they did to them. Torture to probably get information out of them, right? Not to forget the planet they blew up. Thank you. Alderaan. Alderaan was blown up to get Princess Leia to give up rebel secrets. Or the threat of it was done to make Princess Leia give up rebel secrets. And then they blew it up anyway. So not only did he break his oath, his promise that he would leave her planet alone, he murdered billions of people, men, women, children, and completely obliterated an entire civilization. Not just murdered the people, but everything that they were is now gone. Right? They can still live on if many, depending on how many of them are off world. Like, they could rebuild their civilization, but their home is destroyed. It's completely obliterated. There is nothing left but floating rock in the void. See how evil we are moment, since that wasn't really a motivation to blow up the plane. No. Seriously, if you listen to Tarkin, that's exactly what he's talking about. He's like, because he knows she's lying. That's number one. So he punishes her for lying. And he's like, look, you're not going to... Basically, Tarkin is your pragmatic, evil dictator. He's like, I don't want to kill you, but I will if you don't give me what I want. Yes, I'm evil. Fuck you. I don't care. Give me what I want. Cry about it. I don't care how much you bitch about it. Come on. Let's get the whining out of the way. Let's get to the point. Okay, because I'm going to murder you, or you're going to give me the thing I want, right? This is the kind of evil individual. Like, he don't give a fuck about any of your whinging and all that other shit. And so, basically, he does it to prove that he has the balls to pull the trigger. That he's not going to choke at the last moment and be like, oh no, won't someone think of all the poor children I'm about to murder? and then they at the end of the movie, they come to a point where they are going to blow up the moon that the rebel base is on. And I believe, except for the rebels, it's uninhabited. So they won't be murdering a bunch of people, but they're still destroying. How do I put this in a pragmatic way? Prime real estate. Because as big as the Star Wars galaxy is and all the other stuff, you know, there's tons of planets and stuff. I seriously doubt that verdant planets are like, you know, in the multitudes that you can just blow them up willy-nilly and it not actually like affect the galaxy in a that it would affect the galaxy in a bad way, right? So it's like taking prime real estate in a city and then just like blowing it up to the point where now there's just a fucking crater and now you can't use that portion of your city. I know it's a much smaller allegory because of how big the universe is and how hyperlanes and shit work, so it's entirely possible that it was just nothing comparatively. But it's still one of those pragmatic things, especially when you're like an evil empire. It's like, this is good real estate, man. I'd like to not blow it up. And then on top of that, you're going to kill all of the rebels, right? And then what do the rebels do? Well, they fight back and they kill tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands, men and women, who are serving the empire. Many of them are probably just logistical personnel. Like, think about it like this. On a submarine of 150 people, we had 2 yeomen. 2 yeomen. Those were personnel men. Now, they had other duties other than just doing like the paperwork and stuff for the boat. We had 6 cooks, 7 if you include their senior chief. Okay. So that's 7. No, excuse me. We had 3 yeomen. 3 yeomen. We had 2 unders and 1 upper. So, or one first class. So you have 10 individuals on a ship of 150 just for the basic logistical stuff. Doing your paperwork so that everybody knows where you are and the system knows that you're in a certain place doing your job, and to feed you. Out of 150. Now think if you have like, and that's like I said, that's a self-contained submarine. And that doesn't include other auxiliary personnel and other duties that people do aboard the submarine that would technically be done by logistical personnel if it were a surface ship. So on a surface ship, you have even more logistical personnel because there's more room for it because your ships can be bigger, and you're not going underwater. My point is that in a military, the vast majority of the people that are in your military are logistical personnel supporting actual people who fight. Because there's so much logistical stuff to do that if you had a 1,000,000-man army that was poorly logistically supplied versus an army of 500,000 men, who the other 500,000 were being a logistical network behind them, they would probably win. Because like the one of the reasons that certain armies in the past were able to do the amazing things that they did was simply because it's not that they were just better fighters. It's not that just they had better tactics or better culture or any of that other nonsense. A lot of it had to do to logistics. So a lot of the people aboard the Death Star were military, sure, empire, sure, but technically non-combat roles. Most of them were technicians, engineers, support personnel, but it's a gigantic fucking mobile space station, dude. Like the vast majority of people on a submarine, even though we all are trained to use firearms and stuff like that, well, actually the submarine is not a very good one. Let's use an aircraft carrier because they're actual security personnel who are designated as security personnel. Everybody can be activated and be given weapons to, fight, but there are actual people who all they do is carry weapons all day long to make sure everything's secure. And so those individuals are like the stormtroopers on the space station. And so they're a minuscule part of the population of the station, or they would be anyway, logistically speaking. Just as, to bring back the submarine example, the reason there are no dedicated security personnel is because the ship's too fucking small. So there's not enough people to do all of there's not enough space to keep all the people who could do all these jobs. So most of the jobs like that are regulated to other people. Like the people who controlled the firearms on the boat were usually the torpedomen. It was a duty under them. And like all of us had duties that if there was like a boarding action or we had to strap guns to us, everybody was on rotation, or everybody on your normal duty rotation, you were considered like auxiliary this, auxiliary that. And so if they called a certain they called a certain casualty or a drill or whatever, and it involved borders. Instead of going like to your certain duty station, you might go fucking arm up at the thing, throw on some body armor, grab you a shotgun, and fucking go have fun, right? So that just I'm using that to strengthen my point that the fact that the station was so huge and has so many personnel that only a minuscule amount of them would actually be active soldiers who are fighting and oppressing the people everywhere, right? The vast majority of the people on the station were more than likely just a bunch of fucking nerds, because you need like hundreds of thousands of nerds to run a fucking thing like that, right? It's absolutely crazy. And so all the rambling aside, the whole point of this is that sexual assault has been going on the entire time in the background. If this were a real universe and these were real humans like us, then that's exactly what's been going on. You have a gigantic fucking empire that has very little oversight over its officers and personnel about how they oppress locals. Are you fucking kidding? Like, I'm surprised, like you do realize the way they treat these and the way they treat some of these alien races. I'm surprised No, I'm not surprised. What I'm surprised is that it's taken this long to get this far. Because simply put, if you would genocide an entire race, if you would allow mass civilian bombardment on a civilization that cannot defend itself, there is no doubt that you have giant camps made for such things as sexual assault. I would not doubt it. And I would assume that the Empire would only intervene if it became a problem. And by problem, I mean a problem for the Empire. As in, oh, you've oppressed them so fucking hard that they rebelled against you and you didn't properly have enough security. And so therefore your eccentricities have allowed yourself to be taken advantage of by these rebel scum. And so the Emperor just chokes you out and replaces you with someone who is even more brutal with less stupid eccentricities, right? That's essentially how the evil Empire would view it. They don't give a fuck about any of that shit. None of it. Now, they probably would if it were in the military ranks, because there's a thing with military discipline. If you're going to have males and females, especially humans, operating in your military, there absolutely needs to be protections for your females, because I mean, it's just, you're in a goddamn evil empire. I mean, come on. This is like self-fucking explanatory. Like, yeah, anyway. So, one of the main reasons I wanted to talk about this specifically is due to the fact that of not just this in and of itself, but also the overarching like culture aspect of this, is that a lot of the people screaming about this are the same people who got mad at the X-Men movie back in the day for choking out Mystique in one of the billboards. Oh, it glamorizes like female assault or whatever, battering of women or what the fuck ever, dude. It's so fucking tired. Like, he's literally choking out his pregnant wife, bro. Like, come on, man. This is classic white trash behavior. Look at this. And he's the fallen hero, and he's doing white trash shit fucking on the big screen, dude. Like, look at this shit. And what is she doing? It's classic. Oh, I love you so much. Why are you hurting me? As she's screaming and hitting him. I mean, come on, dude. It just, oh my God, dude. Oh, it reminds me, I watched Cops way too much as a kid, man. They're being very tame for the white trash that I'm referring to, but this is essentially what it is. And so it's like they want a gigantic, they want a TV show about a real fascist empire that is being fought against by rebels. Well, what do you think a real fascist empire would fucking look like, dude? Like an actual one. That back when the first Star Wars was made, some rules about what could be displayed on TV were different. Well, yeah, it was in the movies, and yes, you are correct. Maybe they would have added some SA stuff if it was allowed. It was just, well, to be fair, at the very beginning, it was just for 12-year-old boys. And the problem is that here's the issue. There is so much evil and death and violence and destruction in the original Star Wars, but it's very muted, right? The only real fighting and murder that you see is when they're fighting stormtroopers, right? Or when Darth Vader chokes out one of his subordinates, which, by the way, is the worst form of military punishment. And Darth Vader is an absolute idiot, absolutely idiotic for using it as a form of punishment in his military. It is so fucking stupid. I cannot. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm doing this because I'm evil, when they could have absolutely used it in a different way. For instance, you can use the chokeout method on your subordinates. You just do it in private, because if you do it in front of their subordinates, then so you're using it as a fear tactic. True, but what you're also showing is that anyone who takes his place is going to suffer the same fate. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're so incompetent that you cannot get promoted. Think about midwits. Think about how much they fuck shit up already. And then think about, you see on the big screen the fucking hologram of Vader choking out the general, and you're like, yep, I'm totally not getting promoted. Yep, sure am. I'm getting out of this shit. Like, it's so dumb, man. Like, showing them that he can do such things and be powerful is one thing. But what I'm saying is that it's dumb because it undermines military discipline. Punishing your subordinates in such a way, oh, they're an evil empire. So yeah, I get that, but they're not retarded. That's the point. Oh my God. Sorry. I'm boxing with shadows here. My whole point is that to be a successful evil empire in the way that the evil empire is, they can do some stupid things, but there are some other things that if they do, it's just absolutely retardation, especially when it comes to the main suppressing force that they're using, their military. You want them to be as well disciplined as you possibly can make them. And if you allow such a lack in military discipline as Vader shows when he does his executions, then you will degenerate morale within your military. And so, yes, you will always have the loyalists who don't give a fuck about that. Oh, he shouldn't have been, you'll always have those people who say, oh, he shouldn't have failed him, all that stuff. Yeah. But are those kind of people always the most competent? Are those the kind of people that you always want working for you when you might need a more delicate touch? Do you see what I'm saying? There's all kinds of little things that fall off your radar when you do things like this to your subordinates. Villains killing their henchmen is a rather common trope, and it's dumb. It's very dumb. You want them to like you, not fear you. Well, it's not really that. You do want them to fear you, but killing your own subordinates, yes, it shows the heroes in the audience that you are serious. But the problem is that if you really do understand how humans actually work, it's just, you're just like, that was so dumb. Because like, this is someone who's loyal to you, right? This is someone who has given you everything, and they're fighting and they would die for you, and you're just going to kill them as an example to others that if I would kill my own henchmen, what do you think I'm going to do to you? Unless you literally have a like religious zealot army where they have this religious thing like in Islam, where if you die in a jihad, you go to fucking heaven and get 72 virgins or whatever the fuck it is. Unless it's something like that, it's going to undermine your morale, because what's going to happen is that all the competent people who don't want to put up with stuff like that are going to be as incompetent as they can be so they don't get promoted, and to stay away from any of that stuff, and to potentially undermine you, right? Because if they want to stay in their civilization, but they don't want to deal with your shit, you've just created a competitor who knows that if he fails, he's dead, and probably his family's dead, and horrible things will happen to them. And yeah, it's one of these things where when you're an evil empire, the one thing you want to do is make sure that the people who fight for you are well taken care of, and know that you give an absolute fuck about them. You absolutely do. You care about them, even if it's a lie, even if they know it's a lie. As long as everybody pretends, then you're good. Right? That's all that matters, is the illusion. and it bothers me when they do it, because it completely undermines their stuff. The twin dragons. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I mistook what you said. You want your dudes to like you, not hate you. Exactly. You want them to love you, because you're fighting the enemy because they're the enemy, right? We're on the same team. We shouldn't be killing each other to show the enemy that we mean business. That's like, what the fuck kind of rationale is that, right? And unfortunately, it's one of those bad guy tropes. And what they should do is they should just execute an innocent prisoner. right? Like instead of but anyway, as far as like the evil empire part of it goes, in the first movie they showed all of these things. In the second movie they showed all of these things. It's just more muted because it's violence against men, so this is more allowed, right? This is proof. They probably couldn't have done this in the first Star Wars movie, right? The violence against soldiers is absolutely 100% accepted and completely lauded in society, right? So if you're showing a movie about soldiers fighting one another, they can pretty much do whatever is within good taste, essentially. So if they're shooting, if they're knifing, as long as there's not too much blood, kind of thing, you're fine. And then you have on top of it a lot of the violence is separated from the individual. They're not showing Darth Vader knife a dude. They're showing him like use magic to choke him out, or they're showing Luke use the starfighter the X-wing to blow up the Death Star. But you're so disconnected from the fact that there's hundreds of thousands of people that live and work in this fucking thing that you're just like when he blows up Alderaan, like we can barely conceive of the kind of evil that it would require to blow up an entire planet of innocents, right? And they are innocents. I use quotation marks because that's what the Empire would do. Full of rebels is what they would say. They need to love ideals and fear you. Yeah, fair enough. But my whole contention is that all of this kind of stuff was going on in the background. It's just back in the day, it was more muted because of the restraints of media. Plus, it was originally made for teenage boys to aspire to. It's like Marvel is of today. It's the lore that you base your life upon achieving. You want to be Luke Skywalker. That's the kind of man you want to be. You don't want to be Luke Skywalker in and of himself necessarily, but you want to be the kind of man that is Luke Skywalker, that would walk into Jabba's fucking den and fight the big I can't even remember what the fucking monster was called, and win. And then at the end, rescue Leia, rescue Han. You want to be that man, right? You want to be Han Solo. If you've not been so good, but you can change, right? That's the man you want to be, right? And Leia is another great example of an aspect of femininity that women would aspire to, right? It's not just that you can be beautiful. It's not that you can just be protected by men around you, but you can, in fact, do things of your own volition and for your own protection. She chokes out Jabba the Hutt, dude. She kills him for enslaving her. So, it's very, very, very insinuated that something was going on. Maybe he didn't do nothing. Maybe he did. But she choked him out for it nonetheless, right? With her own chains, she killed him. Right there on screen for everybody to see. But because he was an inhuman slug, and it's obvious he's evil beyond redemption, right? We've established that he is evil beyond redemption, then it's okay. But to actually show evil, like, did we not watch Jabba look at a Twi'lek slave, pull her closer with the chain, and licking his lips? Like we all know what that is. But the thing about it is if you have children watching it, they might not understand the context because it's not explicit. Not like it would be in a show like Andor, where the Imperial officer literally walks up to her and, does really bad things to her. And it's very obvious as to what's going on. So it is one of those things where I find it extremely funny because there's so much stupidity around this, and this is where you can really see where the pearl clutching in our society is at its max. Red team does it, blue team does it, everybody does it, except me. Do you know why? Because I am an incorrigible bastard. That is why. And I think everything is fair game. You may hurt my feelings with your jokes, but I will never tell you to stop. I will never tell you to stop. Because it doesn't matter how bad they are. I find hilarity in tragedy. It is a weird quirk of mine. Like dead baby jokes and dead baby Jesus jokes. course, I don't really get to indulge in those much anymore because my wife is very sensitive to such things. But that doesn't mean they don't go on in my mind. And it was just like when Destiny was making fun of that firefighter that died at Trump's assassination attempt. Right? Everybody was shitting on him. People still shit on him for how he commented. Even fucking Asmongold, the Roach King himself, gives him shit for it. Now, in a different way, obviously. It's a little bit less than everybody else. Like, he shouldn't have done it because it looks bad. He shouldn't have done it because it was bad. Was it bad? Sure, but I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty funny. And his tweet about the guy missing, where he was like, he basically commented that practicing good marksmanship was essential to being a firearms earner. Make sure you train up. And then he posts the thing of how the thing just like whizzed by Trump's head. Yeah, that was like, you see me laughing, dude. It was pretty funny. It's pretty funny. They call him the Roach King. No, I called him the Roach King. You can have free speech. I can't guarantee you'll be free when you're done. When you've done your speech. Yeah, Twin Dragons, but that's the thing. It's like it's a complicated mess when it comes to that, because there's two things. If I say something and you assault me, then you will go to jail. Unless they're fighting words. And fighting words in our country, in this country, are defined more along the lines of me egging you on to a fight, not by insulting you, but by saying things like, come on, let's fight. If I say that, or I'm going to attack you, or I'm going to, unalive you, then those are fighting words, right? That's what those are. But if I call you a dipshit and a shithead, and I think your mom's cute and she should come over, like, that's not something that you can punch me in the face for. Well, let me rephrase that, and not be legally liable for. There you go. So you can do that, but you'll be legally liable for it. And to be fair, there are very few things you could say to me. Actually, I don't think there's probably anything you could say to me that would cause me to become violent, unless you are threatening me. But when it comes to my wife and kids, that's a whole other ballgame, right? You can, the insults don't matter. But threatening my wife and kids, that's a whole nother level of monster that's going to come out. You know what I mean? You guys want to fight? That, like, technically those could be considered fighting words. And then, like, it's one of those things where if you say that and then someone like puts their arms up, it's like, yeah, let's fight, and then you run away, you've disengaged. If they chase you down, they are at fault for assault, and it's not mutual combat, because you lied, essentially, which is perfectly fine. It's legal, whatever, because you disengaged. So if that person then chases you down to beat the fuck out of you, they're legally liable for that. Let's thoughts. Let's throw them hands. Yes, indeed. All right, boys. Well, I'm gonna have to take